Hello dear students, very good morning one and all. Today I am going to teach 8th standard students the first lesson in history, and I conduct some activities also. Be ready to answer it. Dear students, through this activity you will know what actually the lesson is about. In this social science history, you have the first lesson called sources. What is sources? What are the types of sources? Why do we require it to study history? If there are no sources, what actually it becomes? Everything you will learn in this chapter. Dear students, before that I conduct an activity and you are seeing a picture. What does this picture tell you? Yes, dear students, you are correct. Yes, grandma is narrating story. Then what is the difference between a story and history? Yes, I will come to that later. Okay. Now I show you one more picture. Will you tell me what it is? Observe the difference between story and history. Now I read out two sentences before you, dear students. Once upon a time, there was a king in a place. He fought a war, you know. He was very strong leader. He was very determined. He won the war, but unfortunate, he lost hundreds of soldiers. Dear students, this is story because I did not tell you any source for this. I did not give you any source for this. Who was that ruler? Where was he ruling? What was his period? Nothing. No document here. Anybody can frame a story. Now I tell you one more. There was a ruler by name Ashoka, ruled Pataliputra in the year 261 before Common Era, fought the Kalinga war, was very much frustrated, disappointed to see huge bloodshed, death of thousands of soldiers, decided to follow non-violence thereafter. Embraced Buddhism. Dear students, see the difference between, first I narrated a story, secondly I told you a piece of information related to history. See the difference, dear students? There is a definite difference between a story and history. Let us see what he is doing. Yes, he must be singing a song, you know. Yes, he must be singing a song. Have you heard Lavani or folk song? Yes, here this man must be singing a Lavani or a folk song. There are many number of ballads, folk songs on Rani Chennamma, on the valor of Sangolli Rayanna, on the valor of Hyder Ali and Tippu Sultan. How did they fight against British? You might have heard. If not, please listen to a Lavani or a folk song. That is an evidence to know the past. Observe this monument. Can you tell me what actually it is? Where it is? A very beautiful monument. Dear students, after observing this, you tell me what actually it is, where it is, what does this tell us about? Will you do it? And that is an activity for you. Okay. Now, one more. Where have you seen this stone chariot? Correct, no, dear students? Yes, you have seen this in Hampi. Very beautiful stone chariot. It is carved out of stone. Yes, very good. Now let us go to the next one. Dear students, what do gold coins tell us? See, beautiful gold coins, and there are engraves. In the first gold coin, a man is sitting on the horse. Probably he must have been the king of the place, and there is something engraved around this coin, at the edge of this coin. Correct? Another person is sitting and an animal picture is given or engraved there. What do these coins tell us about? Yes, dear students, let us go to the next one. Just observe few more coins. What do these coins tell us? That means each coin is giving us some information that becomes sources. It is not a story. Can you name this foreign traveler? Who is this? Yes, dear students, Xuanzang. You are correct. He has come and written his experience, and those recordings, those writings have become sources to build the history. Through his eyes, through his vision, Xuanzang's views help us to know the history of the past. So, that is called foreign account. Dear students, in this activity, you came to know about what is history and what is story. For story, there need not be any evidences, whereas for history, there must be sources. Dear students, in this chapter, you learn all these points. Which are those? See here. Sources required to study of history, their importance. Types of sources of history you learn here. Importance of archaeological sources. Importance of the inscription in studying the particular event. Importance of oral sources in history. History is a systematic study of the past. A famous historian says history is a systematic study of the past. History is written on the basis of sources. Hence, there is no source, no history. Without sources, no history. So, that is the difference between a story and history. The role of historians in building history accurately, scientifically is very significant. First of all, historians collect all sources, subject them to critical examination, then analyze it, and finally they come to conclusion, right. So, that is why the role of historians in writing history is very significant, students. Sometimes when there is difference of opinion because they see some relics, the old things, and there will not be any common opinion among the historians, at that time we will have to come at an assumption. Now, let us go to the first topic. What is a source? The thing used by human being in the past, which have remained even today, is a source to build our knowledge about the past. That is source. These sources are fundamental to write history. The written documents and literary works are also the main source of history. If you have written document and we are able to read them in the sense, it is wonderful. So, there is no assumption, clear cut thing you can arrive at. Let us see the types of sources now. There are two types of sources. One is literary sources, other one is archaeological sources. Literary sources means written document. There is something written in their own language, Prakrit language or Pali or whatever. The other one is archaeological sources. These archaeological sources are excavated carefully, put them to critical analysis, and then we write the history. So, to study history, we have two types of sources. One is literary sources, the other one is archaeological sources. Dear students, let us know about literary sources. For example, Kautilya's Arthashastra, King Hala's Gata Saptashati, Fahian's Gokoki, Xuanzang's Siyuki. All these are literary sources to know about the past. In this literary source, there are two types. One is written literature, the other one is oral literature. Let us go to the literature which is written. Literature can bring the contemporary social life of those times. A literary work portrays the then existing aspects of life either directly or indirectly. For example, Kautilya's Arthashastra. Though the word Arthashastra, it doesn't give much information about economy, it speaks about politics of the day. How the ruler should be, who was his minister, or how the minister should be, what was about the parliament, or how the cabinet of ministers should be, what is the role of king, what is the responsibility of people, why the ruler should be answerable to the people. Everything he has documented. Let us see the types of literary sources. The types of literary sources are two. One is native literature, other one is foreign literature. The native literature, that means our own people have documented it. It is available in almost all the languages. Sanskrit, Prakrit, Kannada, Telugu, Tamilu, Hindi, Marathi, Kashmiri, Gujarati, Odia. In all these languages, abundant sources are available. Dear students, let us know few of them. For example, Kautilya's Arthashastra, King Hala's Gata Saptashati, Vishakadatta's Mudra Rakshasa, Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Likewise, Banabhatta's Harsha Charita, Chand Bardai's Prithvi Rajaraso, Pampa's Vikramarjana Vijaya, and Kalidasa's famous drama Shakuntala. All these are the native literature. These native literature directly or indirectly give us some information, some input about the past. By referring these literary sources, we can come to conclusion about their social, economic, political, religious life. Now let us go to foreign literature. Many foreigners who visited India to learn the Buddhist doctrines have documented in their own way. These records have become source for us. These works are called foreign literature. For example, see here, some foreign literary works. Megasthenes Indica. Megasthenes wrote a book by name Indica. Here he has recorded all his experiences about India. Fahian's Gokoki, Huyansang Siyuki, Ptolemy's Geography, Ferista's Tarikhi Ferista, Babur's Tuzk-i Babri. All these are some of the foreign literary works. Differences and drawbacks. Dear students, now I will tell you the differences and drawbacks of native literature and foreign literature. These literary sources cannot be a very accurate or 100% sources for us, because they were all written by humans who were under the patronage of the then rulers. There was no freedom of press or freedom of speech like. No poet was dare enough to write anything against the ruler or criticize the ruler, because on that day there was no freedom of expression as we enjoy today. So these writers might have exaggerated, might have hidden the real aspects of life. So native literature might have been exaggerated with hyperbole and to show the loyalty to the ruler. So all those to be critically analyzed and carefully examined by historians. And in the foreign literature, due to lack of local knowledge, many misgivings are also recorded. Oral literature. Oral literature means the folk story, folk songs, folk legends, ballads and others that pass from one person to another and by a word of mouth. From one person to another, from one generation to another, the folk story, folk songs, legends pass from generation to generation. Since the beginning of human life, human beings are passing on their experiences in the form of stories, songs and ballads. Even Vedas came for thousands of years in the same form. The folk people's ballads about their local heroes. They used to sing songs about their rulers. For example, ballads on Kumara Rama of Ballari region, Nayaks of Chitradurga, Kempegowda of Magadi, Tippu Sultan and his father Hyder Ali of Mysore, Sangolli Rayanna and Rani Channamma of Kitturu, Sindhura Lakshmana, and the British political agent at Surapura, Medes Taylor. On all these, we have ballads. On all these people, composed songs, glorified them. Even today they are alive, not physically, but in the form of ballads. People out of love composed ballads, songs, sang them, and from generation to generation they passed it. Local mythological stories say on Shravanabelagola, Bengaluru, Koppala, Pattadakallu, Gokarna and Mysuru also give us some inputs to write history. All these become sources in one or the other way, but again historians must be very careful while selecting the useful information. This information must not be exaggerated or with hyperbole or with any other intentions. Dear students, so far we discussed about literary sources, types of literary sources, etc. Now it is the time to know archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are inscriptions, coins, monuments, other ruins give us some inputs about the past. Historians, they excavate and come across many number of things. Archaeological sources are available not only on the surface of the earth, but also hidden deep in the depths of the earth. Carefully they need to be excavated and put to scientific methods, put to study scientifically, then they come to conclusion. The hidden things in the earth are dug out by using scientific methods, and this process is called excavation. Taking out the hidden things of the earth related to the past is called excavation. Dear students, you are observing many pictures here on the screen. The first one on the screen here, the pillar, it is Mehrauli pillar inscription in Delhi. This is iron pillar Mehrauli, and this is made up of iron. Even today it is rust free. Then the people of those days had known the knowledge of metallurgy. They had known about iron, and that is metal. And the stone chariot, it gives information to us that the rulers of those days in Vijayanagar gave importance to art and architecture. Even the Ajanta caves, which tell us the beautiful carvings and paintings, drawings. Dear students, each monument gives a lot of information, and they are the mute spectators of the glorious past. Likewise, inscriptions. It may be Halmidi inscription or Ashokan inscription or the inscriptions related to period of Harshavardhana. They all give us one or the other information. And even Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro and other ruins available, everything give us information. Harappan civilization came to light only due to the process of excavation that you must be knowing. While leveling the land to railway lines, they came across some unusual, obscure things. So, R.D. Banerjee and Dayaram Sahani and their archaeological team carefully excavated, and because of that, our Indian history went back to 2500 years ago to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization. During excavation, ruins of buildings, inscriptions, coins, terracotta pieces, bangles, seals, beads, bone pieces, metals and many other things have been found. All these will give us piece of information. These are analyzed by applying various scientific methods to understand the life of people of those days. Now let us go to inscriptions. Inscriptions mean engraved writing. Inscriptions are written on stone, rock, metals, ivory, terracotta and other materials that last longer, and you can rely upon them to build your history. Ashokan inscription is shown here. Ashoka's inscriptions are the earliest inscriptions found in India. Even in Karnataka you find Ashokan inscriptions, Sannati inscriptions, Maski, where the title of Ashoka, Devanampriya, is known to us. Most of the inscription of Ashoka are in Brahmi script, but their language was Prakrit. Bas relief portrait sculpture, and it is found at Kanaganahalli. Ashoka's inscriptions are found at Sannati in Uttara Karnataka. And here you have the icon of Buddha in Gandhara style and icon of Kanishka of Kushana dynasty. All these runes provide us some or the other information. Thousands of inscriptions are found in Kannada, Telugu, Tamil and many other languages. For example, the inscriptions by name: Samudragupta's Allahabad pillar inscription, Immadi Pulikeshi's Aihole inscription, Karavela's Hathigumpa's inscription. All these are the wonderful inscriptions which provide us abundant information about the past. Dear students, the Uttarameruru inscription narrate the rural administration of Chola kings in southern part of India, particularly in present Tamil Nadu. That means the administration about the local self-administration in villages is described here in the Uttarameruru inscription. Apart from this, many political, social, cultural, economical, educational and even religious aspects are also reflected in the inscriptions. Only the thing is, we need to read it thoroughly, critically and carefully, those matters to be examined. Likewise, one more archaeological source before us is coins. As I said in the introduction, coins provide us various source of information. Though the coins are small in shape, they convey a lot. If it is copper, their economy, the past economy is revealed. If it is gold in huge number, then the economy of those days is revealed. Depending on the metal, we can come to know about their economic conditions. And they also used to engrave a lot about their social and religious economic life. So, we come to know about their social, religious, economic life through coins. Coins also aid us, help us in knowing the language of administration because they engrave it on the coin. Titles of the kings, their religion, economic conditions and also the metal technology they had known. All these can be perceived through these coins. So, coins are wonderful source of information and archaeological sources. Samudragupta had minted 7 different types of gold coins. Based on those coins, we can come to conclusion that he was a lover of music and also had once conducted Ashwamedha Yaga too. So, all those pictures are engraved on the coins. Gautami Putra Shatakarni got the name of Nahapana erased and on the same coin his name got engraved. That means it shows that he defeated Nahapana in the war. Many coins were available in Bengaluru related to Roman period. Rome coins were available in Bengaluru. That shows that the trade contact existed between these two during those days. Dear students, likewise the monuments like temples, palaces, forts, pillars also give us very good information about the past. Mehruli's iron pillar inscription, Vijayapura's whispering Gol Gumbas, Shah Jahan's Taj Mahal, Chittor's Vijayastamba tells the victory of Rana Kumbh. The cave pictures of Ajanta, Elephanta tell us about the paintings and sculpture of those days. The temples of Aihole, Pattadkallu explain about the evolution of Indian temple architecture. Likewise, the monuments of Nalanda University tell us about the importance they had given to education. The forts of Srirangpatna explains the accomplishments in the area of defense technology, all these information are obtained through these monuments. Not only these monuments, there is one more area in the archaeological sources called other ruins. For example, it may be the pots, it may be the cloth, it may be the agricultural implements, etc. are categorized under other ruins. By applying carbon 14, we call it C14 dating procedure on the biological ruins of dead animals, birds and trees, we can know the exact time of the period which these things were used. We can come to conclusion that this particular thing was used in this particular period only. So, C carbon dating procedure is applied. It is a very scientific analysis to know the period of the ruins. Buddha stupas came to light during the excavations at Sannati in Yadgir district and Rajagatta of Doddaballapura taluk. All these are the part of ruins. Dear students, so far you have learnt literary and archaeological sources. Now it is the time to recall. In this chapter, you learnt sources required for the study of history, types of sources of history, importance of archaeological sources and inscriptions, and also oral history. You please recall all those. Once you read the textbook, definitely you will understand the entire lesson. Hope you have very well understood this lesson. Now it is the time to write the answers. There are about 4 questions in this slide. How do historians write history? What is the meaning of source? How many types are there? Name any 2 native literary works. Name any 2 foreign writers. Which source has more reliability for writing history? So, like this all the questions go. Like this you need to write. So, these questions are given in the textbook. Please answer it, you will understand it. Dear students, now it is the time to take activity. Collect the legends of your village or town and write up and make a handwritten book and place it in school library. Prepare the list of monuments and their uniqueness. So, dear students, these are the 2 activities I am giving you. Please do it at home. It is very simple, easy, and show it to your teachers. I wish you all the best, dear students. Hope you have understood this lesson. Thank you. Good luck.